All right, welcome everyone. We will do it live. Oh, did I not configure the chat correctly? Let's see. Hello, Benjameister. Hello, Sag Leaf. Welcome, welcome. Let me just see if I did this correctly. Oh, I did. Your chats are not appearing. Well, rip. I guess I'll have to figure that out later. All right, so I am taking a brief 2-week break from the development of Gunforged to make a commercial game in that 2-week period. But I'm not starting from scratch. What I'm starting from is my Ludum Dare 51 entry, which, let me go pull that up. It's called Smack Demon. I'm sure many of you have seen that. And so Smack Demon is like a turn-based game. Here it is. So it's like a turn-based game. Something is going weird with my stream here. It's a turn-based game where you smack demons as a knight. And this did pretty well, actually, despite being... This game was only made in 12 hours. So, I am going to be building on top of this, basically taking the essence of Smack Demon and adding more to it. I'm actually turning it into a Necromancer game where you control multiple party members because you're the Necromancer. So, there's a lot to explain. Okay, so basically the vision is you have the Necromancer. The Necromancer cannot directly attack enemies. It has to summon a skeleton in order to do so. The skeletons have a tether range where they have to stay within a certain radius of the Necromancer, otherwise they can't be moved. The game board will be set up kind of like chess, where you can only do one action before the enemies get to do their actions, right? So it's actually going to be kind of asymmetrical because the player is either going to be able to move the Necromancer or move the skeletons or do another ability or some other kind of thing, but only one thing per turn. And the enemies are going to be able to all execute a turn during their phase. And so the idea is that it's kind of like this asymmetrical chess game where you can summon skeletons and destroy the enemies. This is going to be all wrapped in a roguelike presentation, of course, because that's the most original idea I can come up with. And the interesting thing is that the skeletons that you're going to be able to summon are going to be upgradable, and when you upgrade them, they will gain one positive attribute, so like an extra effect when they attack, and then they're also going to gain a negative attribute. So, a lot to build, for sure. And, yeah, my stream is going like really weird here. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I'll get rid of that. My YouTube chat is like totally broken for some reason. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hold on, should I fix the YouTube chat or does it bother anyone? Dang. All right, let's see what y'all are saying. Bro, that being built in 12 hours was nuts. Yeah, well, that's, that's what experience does. When you're very comfortable in the Godot engine and also have a bunch of add-ons and such that you can pull in, you can get a lot done in a very short amount of time. Hello, Senshi Dev. Welcome, welcome. Python, I really love your delegate state machine and other similar classes. Do you have any tips on best practices when using them? No, it's I think they're pretty straightforward. I use them in the same way every single time, so yeah, I think if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. I did see you left a comment on the channel that I have yet to respond to, so sorry about that, but yeah, stream seems about as weird as usual. Well, that's good. Your chats are not appearing for some reason, which is like making me a little bit upset here. Unity's particle system. Hi, how you doing? Did you see the message I sent you on Twitter? It was about the to-do list program that you use. For some reason, I'm not getting like any notifications about anyone sending me DMs on Twitter. So I have to go in there periodically manually and check out what's going on. So I can definitely take a look. But the here, Obsidian MD, and then it's using the Obsidian Kanban community plugin. So this is just like a generic note-taking app that you can do with, Markdown. That's the word, Markdown. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you, Unity. All right. So should we fix this? I mean, this is the YouTube chat here apparently, which is just like not working, and I don't know why. What happens if I change the width? That's not going to do anything. Okay, let's try that. Oh, there it goes. Wow. Okay, I had to refresh it. Okay, well, fixed. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. So what do I have going on here? So let me show you what I've got so far. So I basically, because this game was originally built in 12 hours, I didn't really have a robust system for building more turn-based abilities on top of it. So I've been basically just rebuilding all of the systems necessary to get like grid-based movement done. Also tried playing with the art a little bit, but I don't like it, so I have to redo the art as well. So what do we got here? So one of these is the Necromancer and one of these is a skeleton. I can click on whichever one I want to do, and you can see that this little move button comes up. This is just placeholder. This is where the ability hotbar will be, because, you know, skeletons, the Necromancer can have multiple abilities and the skeletons can have multiple abilities. So need like an ability hotbar to be able to use. That's just there because that's what I'm working on. And then I can click to move. Oh, crashed. Well, why did that break? Already broken, yes. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit. Let's see. Starting off the stream, fresh crash. What does this say? Sequence contains no matching element. I see. Not that that makes any sense, but why is that happening? Okay, well, let's just run this again. This looks cool. I am planning to try my first try jam. Any tips? What is a try jam exactly? Oh, is it a 3-hour jam? Is that what it is? Godot synchronization context. What is happening? It's saying the error is on line 73. Oh, get first node of type. That's what's not working. Jam in 3 hours. Okay. What are the rules? So let's just assume that the rules are that you can use any pre-built code. What I would do is I would build out any elements that you could commonly reuse across jams. So one way to do that is to build out some add-ons or some pre-configured components or nodes or whatever that you're most likely going to want to use. You can get a sound library in order so that you have a whole bunch of sounds to pick from when the jam starts. Boilerplate code or libraries that you can include right off the bat. I would set up your Git repository ahead of time if you're allowed to do that. with the project all configured and ready to go, ready to build. Again, it depends on the rules of the jam. You obviously want to honor the rules, but a lot of jams will specifically say you can use any pre-built code. So get all of the boilerplate stuff out of the way. And this is just a good idea for any jam. Get all the boilerplate stuff out of the way so that way 100% of your time can just be building the features, the code specific to your idea, right? You don't want to spend an hour just because you got to set a bunch of things up, right? We're allowed to get ready early. Yeah, so set up everything that you know you're going to need ahead of time. Yeah, boot up your tools for the jam starts. Oh, here's along that same line. Don't do any updates before the jam starts. Don't update. Well, you could probably update VS Code. Those updates are pretty safe, but don't update Windows, don't update Linux, don't update Mac, don't update your firmware, don't do any updates, don't update your driver, nothing. You don't want to change anything the minute before the jam starts that could like brick something or cause you to not be able to develop, right? Cool. So yeah, I think just get everything ready ahead of time and try to keep the game as simple as possible. I think those are the best things that you can keep in mind. Oh, I see. So it's not like a global time. Gotcha. That's interesting. Yo, Cheesem, what's up? What is up? We're doing a Thursday night stream. We, in college, I used to have Fridays off, and so we would call Thursday Friday 1. We had Friday 1, Friday 2, Saturday, and Sunday. So this is Happy Friday 1. So let me figure out what this crash is doing first, and then maybe we can actually get into the development of the game. Get default abilities. Is this the thing that's working? Get children of type default ability. What is going on? I don't understand. Why is this breaking? Oh, dot first. Oh. Right there. Although that shouldn't be breaking at all. Okay, let's see if that works. Interesting. Player manager components 74. So get default abilities. Yeah, this should be working. X is default. Did I not update my move ability? Oh. Return true. Oh, I did that wrong. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Now it should be fixed. So I can click on either one of these guys and move. So one of these is the Necromancer and one of these is the skeleton. And you'll see as soon as I move one guy, the demon starts shooting fireballs. And the next turn's danger tiles are indicated with red here. And so like if I were to move, if I were to stay here, I would get hit by the fireball. None of that is implemented yet in this rebuilt version, but that's kind of like the gist of things. So it's very bare bones, but I'm trying to build out all of the systems in a way that allows me to build a number of abilities that can all be used by different skeleton types. Like I want to have a skeleton warrior, I want to have a skeleton archer, perhaps a skeleton mage, and then the necromancer is going to have summon abilities for each of those types, and also perhaps some other spells of his own, like swapping places with a skeleton or something. So that's the plan. A lot of stuff to do still. A lot of stuff to do. All right, let's see. Hours do not need to be behind each other. You could take an hour every day. Gotcha. Cool. Chat just died again. Oh, what is going on? There it goes. Jeez. I currently have a falling and moving state. I apply gravity when I'm falling, but I should also be able to move. Since you cannot be in two states at once, should I just call move in the falling state function as well? What I would do is abstract the common movement functionality into a separate method that you can call in both states. Because presumably what typically happens in platformers is that you can move while you're in the falling state, but there's like gravity or air resistance that's applied. So you typically can't move as fast in midair as you can on the ground in a lot of platformers, or at least you can't accelerate as fast. What is this 2 week? This is a personal challenge. We're gonna see if we can remake this game into something that can be sold on Steam for a couple bucks. We'll see. Is this based on your Ludum Dare game? It is, yeah. Building off of that as a foundation, which I'm actually pretty much rebuilding it from scratch, so it's not really going to be much of a foundation. But I am trying to preserve the elements that made Smack Demon fun, like the simplicity of it and the animations and whatnot. Cool. All right, so what am I doing? So what I have is I have this ability bar that will create buttons for every kind of ability that an enemy has. Or an entity has, rather. And we need to make it so that when you click that button, that's the ability that gets triggered. So the first one that I want to do is this Summon Skeleton Warrior ability. And I'm going to set up a resource preloader that contains the Skeleton Warrior, and then I'm going to go into this script and grab that resource preloader. Private resource preloader. Okay, so we've got two methods in here. So there's an abstract class default ability that has a couple of things. So can accept tile command means if I were to give a command of like where the target is, this will return a Boolean as to whether that command can actually be executed. And then an execute tile command actually executes that ability. Get ability name is pretty straightforward, and then let me up that. I'm actually gonna update this as well, so it's a little bit bigger. And then we got is default, which means, so basically the movement ability is default in the sense that as soon as you click the entity, you want to see the movement immediately. You don't have to click the hotbar to move, right? So default abilities will be like movement and attacking. So in my Summon Skeleton Warrior, can accept tile command. I'm actually not sure what I should be putting in here. Yeah, I guess what I can do in here, probably gonna want to, yeah, we could do this. So I'm just basically gonna copy this. And then in my, where did it go? Summon Skeleton Warrior. So if our grid does not contain a tile entity, then that means we can accept it. And then in here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say var skeleton is equal to resource preloader dot instance scene or null node 2D skeleton warrior. What we're gonna do is we're gonna say this dot get entities layer dot add child skeleton. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the skeleton, let me think. So the difficult thing about doing grid-based games is like keeping the state accurate for all of the tile positions. So I have this update entity tile position here, but I don't think that's gonna be necessary. I think I'll be okay. So if I do skeleton.global position is equal to this dot get grid manager component dot tile position to world tile center. Very long name, but basically what this will do is we'll take a tile position and then get a global position that's in the center of that tile. So command args dot tile target tile position return, and these are returning a task so that I can actually await them if they do an animation or something. Task dot completed. Okay, so that's my summon skeleton warrior ability, and then let me just go ahead and throw that on the player. The Necromancer. Instance child scene, summon skeleton warrior. All right. And then let me open up the room here. Let's run that. All right, let's see. Going to watch though. Have fun, Firebelly. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, Unities. Hi again. Channel subscribe going well. Yeah, the channel is growing pretty good. Which I'm very happy about. Mike's, my famed game dev is live. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What kind of game is this? This is a turn-based strategy roguelike game. So yeah, you'll be basically, it's the same. If you want to kind of get a gist of what the game is going to be like, you can go play Smack Demon on my Ludum Dare page. I guess I could probably paste that in the chat if anyone wants to play it. So I'll just go ahead and paste it. Why is my my YouTube chat just like breaking all the time? That's so bizarre. But yeah, so it's basically just a turn-based strategy game that will be in a roguelike formula. So you can see, look at this. So this guy is the skeleton because he does not have a summon skeleton warrior ability. But when I click the player, I got the summon skeleton warrior here. So now the challenge is going to be when I click this button, I need this ability to be in context. So how are we going to do that? Well, that's a great question. So I have a player manager component, and this is essentially the mediator. This handles all the player input. And we're going to need to do something here. So first, what we need to do is we're probably going to need to create a signal on the ability bar here. Public delegate void ability clicked. And then we're going to say default ability. Okay. And then in here, we're going to say button dot connect pressed this name of on button pressed, and we're gonna have to bind that. So new Godot dot collections dot array, and this is going to bind that ability. Private void on button pressed, emit signal name of ability clicked. And then this is our default ability is coming in here as an argument ability. And this is named incorrectly. I was going a different direction with it, and then I switched. So this needs to be renamed, but not right now. So that's our ability bar. So in this player manager component, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this code, paste it here. We're going to grab a ability bar node path, ability bar, and then in the ready method we're going to say ability bar is equal to this dot get nullable node path, ability bar node path. And so now we can connect to the signals here. So we can say ability bar dot connect. I should probably use the nullable, null chaining. Name of, so verbose. Ability bar dot ability clicked. This name of on ability clicked. All right, what about Gunforge? This is just a 2-week challenge. Gunforge is still in development, but I'm just going to take a slight break here. I've gone so long without actually finishing a game. I haven't even done a game jam in a while, so I feel like just building something, shipping it, letting you all play it, and then I'll return to the long-term project. Love your tutorials. Keep doing it. I will. Thank you. Thank you, Soonheng. Is there going to be a public release of Godot utilities? Yeah, so there's already a Godot 4 branch in that repository that I'm actively developing against. You can use that if you want at your own peril, because I constantly push breaking changes to that Godot 4 branch, but once Godot 4 probably hits release candidate, I'll make that sort of the master branch of that repository. And then, yeah, it'll be good. I switched my coding logic after watching Composition over Inheritance Tuts. Feels so flexible now. Awesome. Yeah, glad to hear that. You'll notice that I'm kind of doing that as well. If nothing else, the component-based sort of design really forces you to think about how to isolate your functionality. Because like if you're building a turn-based grid game, it's very easy to get every system entangled with every other system. But designing like this, it helps me at least keep everything siloed and separate in sensible ways. So I have this ability selected state. I think I probably need to switch into this ability selected state. So let me do that. So I'm connecting to on ability clicked. So let's go ahead and do that. Private void on ability clicked. Default ability. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I might need a state machine for this, but I'm going to do this first. Selected ability. So we're going to say selected ability is equal to ability, and then current state is equal to state dot ability selected. So we're going to switch into that state. We also need to so we need to indicate to the player all of the valid tiles. So there's an indicator in here. Clear indicators. So I basically need to show all the tiles that the player can summon the skeleton warrior. And how am I going to do that? Input manager component. So we've got our indicators in here. Indicate valid tiles. So it looks like I'm doing this at this level, which I guess makes sense. Indicate valid tiles. Select entity. Okay. So, I mean, I could do something like that. I could do something very, very straightforward. So, got our default ability. We're probably going to need to do something like this, like public abstract vector2 array get. Do I want to do get valid tiles? Hold on a second. So So I'm calling execute tile command. How does this work in the case of movement? Command args, target tile position, entity command tiles. Okay, so I think I probably would need to redo this. So I'm keeping track of like the tiles that can be clicked on here, but I don't think that's appropriate. I think I should move that to the ability. So I can call on the ability like, okay, get valid tiles here, right? And this can do all the calculations it needs to do to determine what tiles can actually be clicked on. And then in my player manager component, what would happen is this would go away. So we'll get rid of entity command tiles. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want any of this in here. What we'd say essentially is, what would we say? What would we say? Get rid of that. Here. So in here I would do if default ability is not equal to null and default ability dot get valid tiles dot contains target tile position. Now, perhaps that's not the best way to do it because it's just going to loop over all those, but so yeah. So imagine the movement ability now. It returns a list of valid tiles that we can click on. I'm going to see if any of those tiles are the tile that actually got clicked on. If that's true, we're going to lock the input, we're going to clear the indicators, and then we're going to execute that. And then we're going to also end the turn. If none of that is true, then we're not going to do anything. And so in here, what you can see is I'm setting these entity command tiles, which is very bad. So I'm going to get rid of those. And so when I select an entity, basically what I want to do is I want to move these. Yeah, I want to move these to the movement ability. So I'm going to click to implement this abstract class. We're going to throw these in here. We want to get, say, this dot get grid manager component. I'm doing this very lazily too. This grid manager component, I just wrote it as a node extension and it returns the first node in the grid manager component group. Don't tell anyone I did this ugliness. If owner dot is node 2D entity. Well, let's just say var entity equals owner as node 2D. We can let that break if it's not correct. So my entity tile position. Okay. My YouTube chat is breaking again. All right, let's see. Definitely recommend the node attribute. Yes. Delegate state machine to build states. Yeah, those are my two favorites as well. I got a bunch of other extension methods and stuff, but I make heavy use of the delegate state machine and I make heavy use of the node attribute, as you can see. Being able to use C#, yeah, that's great. Hello, Sir Guamzalat. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. All right, let's get back to nerd stuff. So we got get valid tiles. Get valid tile positions in radius. So this language is going to get confusing. I guess not. Entity tile position. I would probably drop the word valid. Maybe I will drop the word valid here. All valid tiles. So we'll rename that to all tiles. We can keep is world position valid and is tile position valid. We're going to rename this to get tile positions in radius. Okay. And we're going to rename this one to... No, that's fine. Valid is fine there too. All right. So result, get tile positions in radius, entity tile position 1, and what is this? True, exclude. Okay. Return result.toArray. So that's very simple. And then I have the summon skeleton warrior ability, which needs to be implemented. And I'm basically going to do the same thing. Yeah, I'm just going to grab this basically. Except what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this radius to 2. So in here now, basically what I want to do is grab the first default abilities. All default tiles is equal to... So we're going to say all default tiles is equal to new hash set vector 2, and I'm using a hash set because then I'll be able to merge both sets, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to say default tiles is equal to get the ability component, get the default abilities, and then what we're going to do is we're going to select x dot get valid tiles, and then so this is going to return what? This is going to return a list of vector 2s. So way to like flatten this. Flatten nested array with link. Let's see. Select many. Okay, perfect. So that returns an IEnumerable vector 2. Then we can say to hash set. Actually, I guess I don't even need to do that. Boom. So this is essentially getting all of the valid tiles that come from the default abilities. I can call clear indicators here, and then I can call default tiles dot to array. All right then. So if I did this correctly, which may be doubtful, what should happen is I should still be able to move. And all should be good. So let's see. Gotta. Oh, the fireball ability. Implement abstract class. Oh, interesting. I'll just leave that as is, because in my daemon script here, I'm actually calculating the valid positions here, which actually may not be good. Var valid positions is equal to fireball ability dot get valid tiles. Okay, and then we'll go in here and we'll throw that in there. Excellent. All right, let's check it out. Boom, I can still move. Don't you love when you spend like a half hour architecting a system just so that it produces the same exact result as what you had before? Look at that. But now the interesting part. I can summon the skeleton warrior. If I click this, nothing happens. Why? Okay, because I'm not done with this. So my player manager component, when I select an ability, on ability clicked, what I need to do is I need to say input manager component, and this really shouldn't be here. Clear indicators, input manager component dot indicate valid tiles, ability dot get valid tiles dot to, oh wait, does that return an array already? Yeah. So now if I do this, all right, can I, if I click on this, summon skeleton warrior, it's not working. What the heck? On ability clicked. Is this just not, I have an error or something? Let's go ahead and print in there. I guess I could debug if I was sophisticated, but we all know by now that I'm not sophisticated. We're going to print, and that's going to be our debug, and nothing will change. Hello, Devi. I really wanted to learn Godot C#, I presume, and I was wondering how you did it with a limited supply of tutorials, and also it'd be cool to see a Godot C# Udemy course. Yeah, so knowing C# already helps. The other thing that helps is knowing that the Godot API is almost one-to-one. So if you look at the documentation for a class, let's say if I go to navigation 2D, I know that cell size is going to be there, edge connection margin, all of these properties are going to be there, and all these methods are going to be there, right? So that's basically a good place to start. And there's just minor differences, like you don't have the onReady, right? So you have to use get node everywhere, unless you use my Godot utilities package. But otherwise, it follows standard C# rules. So, kinda was able to just piece it together with those two facts. And yeah, there was some weirdness that I have encountered. I don't recall any specific examples anymore. The other thing you have to keep in mind is a lot of stuff requires variants, right? So if you want to send an argument with a custom signal, it has to be a variant type so that it can be marshaled by the Godot engine. If you send like a custom C# class through a custom signal, it's not going to work because Godot doesn't know what to do with it. But if you want to do that, you can make that custom class extend from reference, which will then make it a variant ultimately and able to be passed around through Godot's systems. I think those are the big things. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. But those are the big ones. Wow, my YouTube chat is just not working. I wonder if there's just some kind of update that went out from YouTube's end that broke the custom styling. Well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, so we're going to print that ability. Let's see what happens. No output. Interesting. Did I not run this freshly? Okay, so that's our problem. So that button is not emitting a signal press. Button connect pressed. This name of on button pressed. That should be okay. I guess we'll just print something here just to be sure. You know what? Let me just go to my player manager component here. Let's see. Oh, I didn't wire up the ability node. That's why. I gotta hook that up. So in my player manager component, I need to drag the ability bar there. Okay, that should work. Okay, so now if I click on the Necromancer, so I've got my movement nodes, right? Or my movement tiles. If I click on the Necromancer and then click Summon Skeleton Warrior, boom, now I've got all these options. And now if I click over here, let's say, nothing happened. Handle the ability here. Oh, well, excellent. So where is that being done? So on tile clicked, we want to handle that ability here. So let's create a new private async void handle ability tile command. Vector 2 target tile position. handle ability tile command, tile position, and same one here. Well, let's deal with that one when we cross that bridge when we get there. So in our handle here, essentially what we're going to want to do is basically copy paste, but instead of we've got this default ability, we want to say is valid equals selected ability dot get valid tiles dot contains target tile position. If it's not valid, we're going to return. Then we're going to say await get valid tiles. So I wonder what the difference is between that and can accept tile command. Those might be redundant, this can accept tile command and these get valid tiles, but again, we'll deal with that later. Okay, so we're going to await selected ability. Well, we want to clear the indicators as well. So let's clear the indicators from the board. Selected ability dot execute tile command. New command args. And we'll put the tile position in there. Alrighty. And yeah, we do want to lock the input again. So basically, 75% of this method is the same. So I might want to find a way to abstract that later, but all right. Oh, I already had command args. Command args, cool. Thank you so much. I've been using Godot for, I think, 3 years, and I know some C#, so thank you for the advice. I love your videos. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad to help. Glad to help. Okay. Summon Skeleton Warrior. Boom. Boom, look at that. Now I've got a brand new Skeleton Warrior on the board. He works out of the box. And that's just basically how it goes. So now you can see how my army is going to start growing here. Awesome. So we've got player summoning abilities done. So the elephant in the room is that I cannot yet attack entities. So I cannot attack this guy here. So let's go ahead and commit that. So basic hotbar and skeleton summoning. I have to update all this art as well. So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So, there's a couple of tricky things here. Well, I thought there were a couple of tricky things, and then I lost my train of thought. Let's see. Skeleton movement attack. So we've got skeleton movement down. We want to do a skeleton attack. Oh, right. What I wanted to do is I wanted to see can accept tile command. What does this even do? Can accept tile command. So the thing is, this can accept tile command is kind of the same as like the valid tiles. So if I go to my move ability, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return get valid tiles dot contains command args dot target tile position. So if I just return that, and then in here what I want to do is I want to say result equals result dot filter, or let's say where x we'll store the grid manager here. And honestly, I would probably be wise to just like throw some of that stuff in here, but you know what they say, YOLO. So result where x dot, or grid manager, let's say, grid manager dot tile contains entity X. So I'm going to filter all of those. So this is all the valid tiles for movement, and basically I'm saying you can move wherever is in your radius and there's no entity. And then this can accept tile command is basically just saying, hey, if I were to send the entity to this tile, would it be valid, right? And so I can do the same for the summon skeleton warrior. So this can, same deal here. So I'm going to say my result is get tile positions and radius. And this might actually already be, no, that's fine, okay. Return get valid tiles dot contains command args dot target tile position. And then the same deal here, return result dot where x. And again, copy this. I would refactor this so that this grid manager is available to all abilities just out of the box, but there's only so much redoing and going backwards I can do in 2 weeks, you know? And then this has to be .to array. Perfect. So now if that worked, let's see, in my player manager component. Yeah, I don't even know if this, yeah, this should be fine actually. Yeah, okay. So now if this worked, what that means is that I shouldn't be able to summon a skeleton. Yeah, so you see that this, where I have a skeleton already, is not highlighted, and if I click it, it does nothing. And if I click outside, it does nothing, but if I click on the valid one, it does something. If I go here, now you can see that I have no indicator here as well. So that's basically, okay, so let's just do that minor tweak. We'll commit that as a minor tweak to valid selection. Okay, so now let's make the skeleton attack. So how are we going to do this? Well, you guessed it, we're going to implement it as an ability. So this ability framework that I built basically is how everything's going to be interacted with. So if I go to my skeleton warrior, go to my skeleton warrior here. Let's create a new scene. Let's just call it melee ability. Scenes, ability, melee ability. We'll put this in scripts. It extends from default ability. So can accept tile command. What we want to do is we want to say if this is just going to be the same every time, I'm actually going to go to my default ability. And in here, I'm going to make this a virtual so I can override it if I want, but I'm going to say return get valid tiles contains, because that seems to be the one that I'm doing basically all the time. Oh, I need to, do I need to use system.link? Oh wait, I am. Oh. Whoops. Okay. So I'm gonna just remove this. Remove that. Yeah, so that's gonna remove a lot of unnecessary duplication, since that's just the same logic in the vast majority of cases. Okay. So, my melee ability. You're going to stick with GDScript Dragon Apple? GDScript is perfect. Perfectly capable. Honestly, I probably would have used GDScript for this project if I was more up to date with GDScript. It's one of those things where it's like I get a little rusty and then I have to like remember how to do everything in GDScript. But assuming you know how to use it and you're comfortable with it, then it's a perfectly fine option. Okay, so get ability name. This ability name is not super important. Get valid tiles. So what I'm going to do is in here, basically, I'm going to say var tiles equals, you know what I'm going to do? I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I am going to do this. Grid manager component. Entity equals owner as node 2D. Perfect. And so everywhere that default ability is used, get rid of grid manager component there. Just clean this up a little bit. Basically just brought those in to the base default ability class. And now I'm just going to replace everything where it exists. Get rid of that grid manager. Cool. Summon skeleton ability. Grid manager component. All right. Oh boy. Okay, almost there. Almost there. All right. Actually, I think that's it. Okay. So execute tile command, we'll leave that one there for now. So get valid tiles. So we're going to say tiles equals grid manager component dot get tiles positions in radius. We're going to use the entity grid manager component dot entity tile position of entity. 1 for the radius and exclude the root position. Yes. Return tiles dot where x grid manager component dot tile contains entity. Now, of course, the obvious problem here is that this is going to allow me to attack my own teammates as well. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to say get entity at tile position x dot faction or get first node of type faction component dot faction is equal to, and I probably need to specify, oh wait, I can just do entity, oh boy, var entity faction is equal to entity dot get first node of type faction component dot faction. Okay, so this is going to return all the tiles in a radius of 1 that contains an entity that is the opposite faction of the current entity. And then execute tile command is basically just going to be var entity, let's say target entity is equal to grid manager component dot get entity at tile position command args dot target tile position. And I don't know, I'm just going to say target entity dot queue free for now, which is laughably horrendous, but it'll allow us to see if it's going to work. So, Skeleton Warrior, what we're going to do, we're going to instance your child scene here, melee ability. Oh, the other thing we want to do is the melee ability is also a default ability, meaning it's one of the abilities that shows up as soon as you click the entity. So, public override bool is default, and we're going to return true. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this now. All right, why did that not work? Get valid tiles. Does my Skeleton Warrior not have a faction? Okay, he has a faction, so that's good. Tile position of entity, that's fine. Tiles.where. Let's print the result length. Result.length. Return result. I want to see if that even gets called here, so I'm going to take this Skeleton Warrior and just plop him on down over there. Layers. Yeah, that's just kind of what I'm calling my different nodes in my room scene. So I've got like an entities layer. I'm going to have a floor layer like this. I don't know, the word layer just makes me understand that it's for the purpose of drawing things in the correct order. It's also a holdover from Game Maker Studio. Console log things, yeah. Oh, layers might be why it didn't work. Gotcha. I don't think so. All right, let's see. We got 0, so there's our problem. It's not finding any valid tiles, so where's my logic wrong? All right, I'll give you a shout out in the chat if anyone can identify what's wrong with this method such that I'm not getting what I want. Up. Do you see it? Minor error here. Not equals right here. Just got, no, that's fine. Welcome, seriously, I'm not going to say the last part of your name so I don't get demonetized, but glad to have you here. So it was because I was checking for factions that were equal to the entity faction rather than opposite to the entity faction. Really tiny print. Yeah. Oh, we have a problem here. So I'm clicking on that entity. So I need to handle that as well. I could bump this. See, if I bump this up any more than like, I don't have enough room to see everything. Sorry, let's see. Is there a way that I can like... Huh. Oh well. It's alright. Yeah, it's alright. Alright, let's see. So I'm going to return this. And what am I doing? Right, so in my player manager, in here, so if I click on an entity, I've got this. Handle entity tile command. I think I can just do this. I think I can just say else handle entity tile command entity, or rather handle entity tile command. Oh, yeah, I think that's fine. But I just need to do this. I need to take the grid manager component.get entity at get tile position of entity. So I'll just pass it through the handle entity tile command at the entity's position, and that should automatically handle it. So I know the logic probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're just chiming in here, but position versus actual agent. There we go. Boom. Cannot access disposed object daemon. Okay, so this is another challenge that I'm going to have to deal with. But we will handle that later. So that's working. Did everyone get a glimpse at that? So I can click this guy, click that guy, boom. But the moment that I need to fetch that daemon again, it crashes, and the reason is because this goes back to what I was saying earlier about maintaining the state of the grid, right? So think about everything that you need to maintain when you're doing a grid-based, turn-based game, right? You need to keep track of where every entity is and make sure to accurately update those entity locations when they move. You also need to make sure that you remove or clear those entity locations when the entity is deleted, which is the part that I'm not doing. And then, of course, you got to track, which tiles are valid, which tiles are navigable, right? So there's actually quite a bit of state that you need to make sure that you're keeping up to date when you're dealing with this kind of like grid-based system. And there are ways to make that automatic and easy. And I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to add a health component to the daemon and to all the entities, really. And the health component is going to handle clearing their position from the grid when the health drops to 0 and they die. Off-screen process. Not sure exactly what you're saying there. Off-screen process. Hey, the Broken Crow. Welcome. I'm doing great. How are you doing? Oh, yeah, for managing states. Yeah, for sure. Visibility. Yep. Okay. I wish my YouTube chat was working. I think I'll just hide that. It's causing more problems than it's worth. Okay. So I think, yeah, in order to make this work, so we need to do an animation for the attack, and we also need to do a health component. So let's go ahead and create a health component. Node. Hence my name. I gotcha. Okay. Am I using entity component system here? I mean, not exactly. It's mostly just like composition. So creating reusable components that I can use across multiple scenes. But it's not it's not really an entity component system. It's just, basically I'm just creating custom nodes. And yeah, I'm glad you liked that component video. You can see that I use it pretty religiously, this strategy here. Yeah, it's like classes basically. It's like, you know, every node in Godot has a very distinct purpose. And the way that you create your scenes in Godot is you put a bunch of those different nodes together to create a larger multi-purpose scene. You can extend that idea when you're designing your own games by essentially making your own nodes that contain game-specific logic. So I'm creating a health component. A health node doesn't make any sense in the context of Godot as an engine, but it does make sense in the context of my specific game. And so I design a health component or a health node that I can throw onto every scene that requires health, right? And yeah, that's the basic idea. So now this health component can be used on the skeletons, on the demons, on bosses, on anything. Actually, one of my favorite examples is if you create like a hitbox component and a health component, you can use that for enemies and the player, but also the environment destructibles, right? Like you could put it on a crate and say the crate has like 1 health and here's its hitbox. And then there you go. You reuse it across all kinds of scenarios. I like the node system more than the game object system in Unity. Nodes can also not have a transform, so that's a very good thing. Yeah. My understanding is that plain nodes that are not node 2Ds are very lightweight, that they basically have no cost, unless of course you're running the process method every frame. But in a lot of these cases, I'm not, right? So they just become, yeah, they're not a problem at all. Can you remove a node from an instance of a scene? Yes, you can. You can do that at runtime. I would not recommend that though. I would recommend you make your scenes essentially static, right? Like your scene should be a known static definition of nodes for the most part. You want to avoid messing with the structure of individual scenes at runtime, because then it's like, you know, all of a sudden you go to reference the node that you think is there and it's not, right? So you have to be very careful with that. Of course, that doesn't apply to nodes that you add at runtime, right? Like if you add a bullet to the scene because the player fired it, well, that bullet is by definition transient, right? And so you should be removing it at some point. I'm more so talking like, you know, I shouldn't be removing the sprite from this scene during runtime because that doesn't make any sense. I'm counting on the sprite being there, right? All right, export private int health. And we're just going to do something very simple. Public int or public void damage int damage equals 1. Health. So let's call this public int max health get private set private int current health, and then in my ready method current health is equal to max health, and then current health minus equals damage. If current health is less than 0, less than or equal to 0, signal public delegate void died. See how simple this is? It's basically just a counter and then add some signals. Name of died, and then I also have to update the entity position. So I want to say grid manager component this.get grid manager component.clear entity tile position, owner as node 2D. And that's it. So I'm clearing that tile position now, which should be good. Emitting that signal died, and then probably just going to queue free it in here for now until I figure out how to actually handle the death. Probably will do some kind of animation, but not yet. Okay, and then here, where's my demon? Where is my demon? We'll instance that health component and then build. Probably want to set this max health to, we'll just set it to 1 for now. Set it to 2 for the demon. And now when I do the melee ability in here, instead of queue freeing the entity, I'm going to say target entity dot get first node of type health component dot damage. And now I should be able to smack it twice and then it will die. 1 smack, 2 smack, 3 smack, you smack. Okay, so that didn't work for some reason. Oh, I queue freed the wrong thing. I need to call owner.queueFree so we free the whole demon. Let's see. Let's see. Broken Crow says, I had some language barriers on Godot, so taking a break. Thought I'd stop by and then found out you're doing Ludum Dare. No, I'm doing just a 2-week challenge, personal challenge. Gonna try to put up a game on Steam in 2 weeks and sell it for a couple dollars. So we'll see how that goes. Oh yeah, that was an old one that I missed. Whoops, sorry. Hard to pay attention to chat and think about what I'm doing. Can you remove a node from an instance of a scene? Already answered that one. Health comp is for actors. Yes. Yep, that's correct. So basically the health component is a glorified... The health component is a glorified counter, basically. Thought you needed to write event handler. Oh, you're right. I'm using Godot 3, though. I figured it probably wasn't a good idea to use the Godot 4 betas to publish a game on Steam, which is the ultimate goal of this challenge. So I'm back on 3.5 stable. You do need to have event handler in Godot 4 though, because I believe Godot 4 uses code generation, right? To generate the various signal names and whatnot. Hope you enjoy the challenge. Always good to keep yourself on the toes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Really hope it works. Boom, there it goes. Oh, still a problem though. Sequence contains no matching element, so this is going to probably be a problem, huh? Line 79. Get default abilities first, can't accept tile command. Something's wrong. Why is that broken? How do you make pre-made, procedurally generated rooms? Oh, interesting. There's a couple of ways to do it. sorry, I just figured out this issue. So there's a couple ways to do Binding of Isaac style rooms. Binding of Isaac is easy because they're just basically rectangles, right? So you could just generate a room that's of a certain size and then plaster it with tiles. And then just pick a bunch of random places for enemies to spawn. If you wanted to have like gaps and stuff, like voids and holes and cliffs, I don't know how they do it. I would probably... Honestly, what I would do for a Binding of Isaac style game is I would just manually design a bunch of different room types. Like, I'd just designed 30 different versions of a room with different configurations of traps and holes and stuff. And then I would just have the game pick one of those rooms at random. I don't know if that's how the Binding of Isaac does it. If you wanted to do it in a truly procedural way, it might be tricky to generate a room that is guaranteed to be traversable. Right? Like, that's the problem with procedural generation. Like, it's very easy to generate something that just doesn't work. And so, yeah, I don't know of an easy way to make it so that you are guaranteed to generate a traversable room if you're generating the room with code purely. So, honestly, I'd probably just go the way of designing a bunch of rooms by hand. C# does have arrow functions. Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea to use Godot 4 for game jams? For game jams, sure. I would make sure, like, number one, before you do the game jam, build out a game, like a very, very simple, like, prototype game, and export it and make sure that it runs. And if it works, then use that same version of Godot 4 beta to build the game for the game jam. But what you don't want to do is, like, build something on beta 14 and it works and all that, and then upgrade to beta 15 and then find out it doesn't work, right? Okay, so if I click outside of a valid tile, get valid tiles contains, so my move ability, get valid tiles. So when I click outside of, that one works. But when I'm moving, it breaks. Okay, why is that happening? I wonder if my debugger would even work. Let's try it. So it looks like my debugger is not going to work. I think maybe I can attach it. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, I guess I can't use my fancy debugging. So it's crashing at line 79 in that class, I believe. Sequence contains no matching element. Line 79, so something in here is wrong. Selected entity, get first node of type, get default abilities. Okay, well, let's just do this then. We're going to print each section of this. Oops, forgot a semicolon. Are you able to choose where the enemies spawn in the pre-made rooms, or would it be better to make the spawns more randomized? You could do a combination of both. So you could specify the zones or the areas in which enemies can spawn and then just pick a random point in that area, right? That would probably be easier. I think that's... In the very early versions of Gunforge, that's what I was doing, is specifying the areas in which enemies could spawn. That way they could spawn away from walls and doors and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on here. Oops. Lots of crashes. I don't understand what's going on here. So it doesn't like this. Why doesn't it like this? Where X of type default ability. Can't accept tile command. Maybe it's my melee that's breaking. Melee ability. Get valid tiles. Huh, I don't know why this is breaking. Oh, return tiles where... I think this is probably the problem, huh? var result is equal to new vector 2. Yeah, this is the problem here. So this must not be returning what I think it's returning because of this null chaining operator here. Oh, wait. No, that should be working. Oh boy. Okay. I'm gonna rewrite this. So let's say var entity, var tile entity. I think this is the problem, so I need to grab this. If tile entity equals null, return false. Faction is equal to tile entity dot get. Actually, I don't need to do that. Tile entity get first node of type faction dot faction. If faction equals null, return false, and then return faction dot value is equal to entity faction, not equal to entity faction. I think that's what's going to do it. Does it want me to convert to... Okay. Jeepers. Why is this not working? Okay. Let's see if that fixes that crash. Nope. Nope. Did not. Okay. What is going on? Jeez. Gee dang it. Figure out why this is crashing. Let's see. What are y'all saying? Do you need to update tile information when your knights move? Good idea, but no, that is happening automatically. Can you see my call stack? I will have to check that. That's a good call as well. Are you able to choose where enemies spawn? Oh, I already answered that one. Let's see. Is this chess inspired, by the way? Yeah, this is kind of like chess in the sense that you can only move, you can only do one thing per turn. Somewhere's undefined in the code. Better do a bunch of undefined checks first. Well, the thing is, this is returning 1, so that means that I have 1 default ability. And then I'm returning the first can accept tile command. So there's something wrong in the can accept tile command, I think. which means that there's something wrong with the get valid tiles. And actually, this is... This is actually redundant here. Maybe that was the problem. Wait, is this going to work all of a sudden? Nope. I think there's something in my get valid tiles that's not working quite right. Get valid tiles. Why is this not working? It's gonna be something really dumb, I think. Would it, let's see. Would it be the first? Can you use first or default? Oh, maybe. Well, I don't think it's that case in this case, because when I printed the result of this, the length was 1. So first or default, I suppose I can try it. I don't think that's going to work though, because I was getting an element of 1. So first should be working. Get node or null. No, that won't help. Let's see. May I ask, would it matter what scripting language I choose for Godot to make the game in? No, it shouldn't matter. If you're not doing anything super performance intensive, then it won't matter. This is looking more and more spaghetti. It's actually not spaghetti. It's actually very sensible. I just have to figure out what conditions are causing this to crash. Kind of want to use the Godot script, but I've been hearing of C# scripting is good too. I like it, yeah. GDScript is easier to get started with though. Is the mouse involved with get valid tiles? No. No, the tile that the mouse clicks on gets passed into this. Oh. Well, one problem... Wait a minute. Handle entity tile command. Oh, no, that's fine. Get default abilities, first or null? First default. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense at all. So if I get rid of this, is that going to work? Okay, so that works, right? So the problem is this function in here can accept tile command. I'm assuming that get valid tiles is returning null from somewhere because of my liberal use of null chaining operator. Oh wait, is it just gonna like work now? Wait, it's not crashing all of a sudden. Oh, well, it's not crashing anymore. Well, that's wonderful. All right, well, it's not crashing anymore. Hooray. Haha. Excellent. I don't know what happened, but it's not crashing anymore. Summon a bunch of skeletons. You have to imagine that these are all skeletons. So, the skeleton attack is basically done. Of course, I have to animate that stuff, which I have an animator component. And what I'm kind of tempted to do is just squish everything into this animator component. I'm kind of tempted to just put a bunch of different animations in here and then just be able to call it from wherever I want to call it. because all these entities are going to be, all the entities are going to be static sprites anyway. So I think if they all have the same animations, it's not going to be a big deal. Like there'll be a melee attack animation, there'll be a cast animation and all that good stuff. Yeah, well, it might have. Let's change it back. Let's change this back to first and see if it breaks again. I have no clue why that would be the case, but it's possible that there's some underlying... Yeah, the first or default fixed it. So check this out. That's super weird. So I go first, right? But if I print this whole first statement here, gd.print, so that's everything up until this first, right? And I put .count, what's going... Oh, you know what? No, it is the first or default, because what's happening is... this is the one element that's in there ends up being filtered out by this. And so the first or default, yeah. So then first ends up crashing because after this filter is applied, it ends up being 0 elements. So you are right. Yeah. First or default. Excellent. Excellent catch. Yeah, that's one of those things where I may have worked on this for another half hour or an hour before realizing what was wrong. Let's see. Force the type of X. That's a good idea as well, but C#, it knows what type X is. So let's see. I think I may choose C# actually because I have some knowledge in Unity C#. If you already have knowledge, then yeah, go for it. Something I ran into a while ago. Cool. All right, excellent work, everyone. Good stuff. All right, well, we're closing in on an hour and 45 minutes of stream. It is now 8 o'clock p.m. here, so I'm going to call the stream for tonight. Got a nice little short one in. Got a lot done, though. But yeah, I'm going to be working on this. So today's Thursday. I started this challenge on Monday. So I'm 3 days into it. If my math is correct, I started Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I guess by the end of today, it'll be 4 days into it. So I might be doing another couple streams this weekend. So make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell if you want to be notified when I do that. What's the Jam website? Well, this is so the pinned link is to the game that I'm basing this new game on, Smack Demon. But I'm not doing this for a jam. This is a self-imposed challenge. The goal is by a week from next Monday. So by a week from next Monday, the goal is to have a Steam store page up and this game finished and ready for you all to buy it. That's the idea. So, and it'll probably go up on itch and Steam as well. So, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to call the stream there for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for your help. And again, I'll be streaming this at some point this weekend, so keep your eye out for that. And I hope you all have a great night. All right, goodbye, everyone.